pay too much attention to how people look. I pay attention to how they act.
Right.
And that's what draws me to them. Whether I like them or whether I don't like them is the way they act.
Well, now, how did he act?
He acted nice. He was real nice.
So, after y'all got married, where was the first place you lived?
Really, the first place we lived was at your Grandma Varnum's, because we come on down here, and he didn't have a house then. Then the first place we lived ourselves was in Wildwood.
In Wildwood.
Wildwood. He got a place as soon as he could after we got down here, and we moved to Wildwood.
How long were you married before you got a place of your own?
Oh, we'd been married 4 or 5 weeks, I guess, because we stayed up there for a few days after we got
Approximately
married.
how long did you stay there then, that first place?
Maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know for sure.
I mean, in Wildwood you mean?
No, we lived in Wildwood for nearly a year.
And then where'd you go?
And then we went to Sanford, I believe.
When was little Debbie born? During that year, or?
No, he was born after we come back from Sanford. It was nearly we'd been married nearly 2 years before he was born.
After Wildwood, you went to Sanford.
We went to Sanford, and he worked in a canning plant there. We worked in the warehouse where they labeled. He wasn't in the plant itself.
Then after Sanford, you've been there, what, about a year?
We stayed there during the season. It was about 8 months, 7 or 8 months.
Then you came back to Wildwood.
Then we came back to Wildwood. No, it was after Toses. We moved to Toses' place.
Yeah.
There
And
were
then how long
losses
did y'all
on-
stay there this time?
Do what?
When you came back to Wildwood the second time, how long did you live there?
Well, I don't know. We lived there maybe a year.
You got the farm 1 year, didn't you? It's called farm 1 year up there, didn't you?
Yeah, but not then.
Oh.
I can't remember when it was.
I even remember when y'all was coming out of that.
He just helped on the farm.
So after you lived in the Wildwood area, how long did you live in that area?
Well, we lived in that Wildwood area 7 or 8 months, and then we went to Sanford. We was there 7 or 8 months, maybe.
Okay.
And then we moved back to the Wildwood area. And we was there 7 or 8 months again. That's when little T.W. died. We was living there then when he died.
And then after that, where'd y'all move?
I don't know. We moved to Tor's house, and we stayed in that little house.
Okay, you was in the area. How long?
I don't know. We was in that whole area several years, 2 or 3 years maybe. Then we met. We was back in Tucson. I can't remember exactly.
Where's the first place you moved to away from this area? Out of state or out of?
Eustis. Wasn't it Eustis? We went to Eustis.
Yeah, I guess so.
And he worked. Well, first we went to Cassia, where the sawmill was. He worked in the sawmill there for a while, and then we moved to Eustis.
Well,
Then after
you were living
Eustis.
at Eustis whenever I took that picture of Wilda.
Yes, and we was
She was
living
up
at
about that
Eustis.
high,
We was
sitting on the curb.
We was living at Eustis when you got your fingers cut off. No, we was living at Cassia when you got your fingers cut off. We was on our way home. We stopped there.
Okay, and then after Eustis, where'd you move to?
Apopka,
Then Apopka after that.
back to Wildwood.
And then after
No,
that.
we wasn't living in Wildwood. We went to Aunt Rachel's house then, but it was in the area.
Yeah, in the area. And then, when did y'all finally move out of this area?
Went to Fort Creek.
When we moved,
Mary was born in
I was thinking that when Jimmy was, didn't y'all go to Texas sometime during?
that was during when he was in service. I was thinking we moved to can't remember the people's names now, but we lived in it was a farmhouse out in the country, and that's where your daddy was drafted when he went to the army.
Oh, that was
What town? That's all.
Well, between
Between
Wildwood
Oxford and
and
Wildwood.
Oxford. Between
Yeah.
Oxford, it was in the area there.
you know where you turn
So
left.
y'all
to go
stayed in really this area of Central Florida
Yeah, all the
Have to
time.
say
We
for how
lived in
many
that-
years before
same
Daddy?
place.
You stayed here until Dad went in the Army?
Jimmy was a baby when he went in the army. That must have been about 10, 12 years. I don't remember
You
exactly.
stayed in this area, Central Florida.
I took him.
And then after he went in the Army,
Uh,
where'd you stay? Around this area?
for a while, and then I went to Wildwood. To Brantford. I went to Brantford because I wanted to get close to a church where I could go to church.
And your brother, did he live there then?
Yeah, he didn't. He lived on a farm there. He didn't live in Brantford himself.
But he lived near there.
Uh,
And then Where else did you live while Daddy was
Well,
in the Army?
when I moved from there, after I got baptized in Jesus' name, I come back up here. Because there wasn't no church, Jesus' name church there then. Hatch Bend wasn't there.
Right. So you came, and then, so that's the only places you lived while Dad was in the Army?
We stayed, we was there when he come home from the Army. And after that, we went to Otter Creek. And after that, we come back to Bellevue again. And after that, we went to Alabama.
This was after the Army.
After
Now,
the
where
Army.
was James Varnum born?
He was born in Alabama.
In what town?
Bruton.
Bruton.
Bruton, Alabama.
Well, let's go back a little further. Where was Wilder born? Just the town, just the area.
Well, Wilder was born at Oxford. We called it Oxford. We was living in Yet Tor's old house.
Okay, and then where was Johnny born?
He was born in a poplar
Was he born in the hospital or home?
home. Wilder
And
was
then,
born at home too.
And then next is Jimmy, right?
And the next was Jimmy.
What town was he born in?
He was born at Oxford. We was at his Aunt Rachel's house. Your dad was in New York at that time. He was following the canning plant so he could have work to do.
And then next would be Jerry. Where was he born?
Right here in Ocala, because
Yeah.
I was with Minnie when she
Right.
And then Mary?
come home with him.
And then
from
Mary was born in Otter Creek.
Otter Creek.
And then Judy.
And then Judy was born in Ocala,
And I was born in East Bruton, Alabama, wasn't
East Bruton, Alabama. Well, you was born in, you was at the hospital. I'd only had 3 children in the hospital. The rest of them was all born at home.
You were living in Oil Creek when Toses and Oses went to barber school.
Yeah.
They went to barber school in Jacksonville.
That's right.
Which one of your children did you have the hardest time with to give birth to?
Jerry.
Well, the first one, little T.W.
And then which one seemed to be the easiest?
I don't know.
None of them easy, then.
I don't know about that. I guess it was Judy, really, when I come right down to think about it.
Which one do you think was the hardest to raise?
I don't know about that either. All of you was hard to raise. You all had to be trained. You all had to be taught.
You don't want to say you, do you, James?
Oh, I wouldn't want to say. I was supposed to ask her who was the easiest. I figured she'd
Well,
say
Judy actually was the easiest. I never had no trouble with Judy about wanting to run off and do things. She stayed home mostly.
Yeah.
Brother R.O., when he was in the Army, he got out preaching on the street. They put him in stockade for, disgracing the Army uniform.
Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
the truth.
So he
We
said
can
that
tell a
night
lot more.
that he started praying. Lord, he says, if you will deliver me from this army, he says, I'll preach the gospel if I have to sleep in a holler log and drink rainwater.
That's right.
He said he got down to, come in there at Otter Creek. The TW was working over there, I think. And it come one of the biggest rains. The chickens were wading around in the yard with water up to their bellies.
Rained for a whole week.
It rained.
Hey,
And
Mom?
he said he almost had to drink rainwater, and he said if there's a holler log, he guess he'd have had that.
He did drink rainwater. We
Yeah,
had a
didn't have nothing but rainwater.
we had a big old
Yeah, I
metal
remember
tank
that.
sitting under the roof, and the water come in there. We had a screen over it to catch any trash, and that's what we had to drink.
Let's go back to when you and Dad was kind of dating or seeing one another, courting. How did y'all court back in those days? I mean, did y'all just go out on dates? Did you go out and eat or
Well, we
sit in the
never did
living
really-
room?
We never did really have no date. I was living with my Aunt Lou and Uncle Ab at that time, and I had went over to Sister Williams's home, and he was staying at the Mitchells. That was Sister at the Thomases, Mitchell Thomases. That was Sister Williams's daughter and her husband. So they came over there the next day and they ate dinner with us. And that's when your daddy said that because he didn't drink tea, I didn't either. Because he didn't drink coffee, I didn't either, but it's just because I just didn't want none at that time. I thought it wasn't because he wasn't drinking none, but he thinks that. And that's the first time I'd ever seen him. Well, that night, we all went over to that little church together. Me and Sister Williams and Brother Mitchell and Sister Ruth and your daddy, all of us went over there to that church. They was in a revival over there. And when we come back, of course, he went over to Sister Ruth's and Brother Mitchell's, and I stayed at Sister Williams, but the next day I went home. And that evening, here he come up down in his little old car after me. He wanted me to go to church that night. So I went with him, and we went on to church. And then, I don't know, he'd come out there and get me. If I didn't come back up there, he'd come out there and get me. But we got no date, he'd just gone. Get
Do you remember did your mother ever send you to the store? Did you ever go to the store with your mother when you were, your mother and dad, when you were home? Do you remember how much things like, how did you get your milk then? They didn't have it in jugs in the store then, did they, or did they?
They had it in bottles, in glass bottles.
Did they deliver it to your house, or did you have to go to the store and get
Well, you could get it delivered to your house, but we usually got it at the store.
it? By the quart or gallon? Or?
By the quart.
How much was it a quart then?
I don't remember, about a quarter, I think. I believe it was about 25 cents a quart.
Did they have sliced light bread then?
Yes, nope, no sir, they didn't. They made,
Had
no,
biscuits.
they had light bread, but you had to slice it yourself when you got it home. It was in a loaf.
How much was it?
You don't remember how much was a loaf? About? Either one of y'all on
10
that
cents a
time.
loaf.
10 cents
It
a
was
loaf.
10 cents a
About
loaf.
10 cents a loaf. Was that considered expensive back then?
Well, no, we just considered it regular. I
We
mean,
could buy a hamburger for 10
that's
cents
what it
a
was.
pound.
Buy lard for 10 cents a pound. We have bought it for 5 cents a pound.
Uncle Jack, let me ask you this. What was y'all's favorite game growing up as boys, you and Dad and all you boys?
Play ball.
Ball.
Baseball, yep. Baseball. And sometime we'd get out under the oak tree and get us a stick for a plow and we'd farm. Stick the grass up to little bird, make farm. But everybody, we play ball, and then we have parties, you know, when all the neighbors' children get together, build us up a big fire and get outside and have a party, you know, sing songs and get a partner and dance around the fire and turn everyone loose. Get
Did your
another.
dad let y'all do that, huh? He wasn't against that.
No, it was out just so it was out of mischief. Holy Spirit. Oh,
Which one of y'all did y'all consider was the best ball player when y'all were boys, all you boys?
I don't know. We was all pretty good. I had after I was married, I had a ball team. You know, go and gather them up, and bring them out Sunday afternoon and play ball. But
Mom, what about you? What did y'all do to play? What did you like to do best?
Our biggest game was hide and seek, we called it. We'd get out and it got dark and play hide. One would count and the other one would hide, and then they'd hum them up. We'd play a game what we called dare base. All of ours was outdoor games. We play after we got a little older. We played baseball.
How'd you play dare base?
Well, we'd choose sides, and then we'd have a tree or get a tire or something for a base, you know. And then each one would dare the other one. We'd slip up there close to their base and try to get back before they could catch us. If they caught us, we had to go to their side. And if they didn't catch us, we got back home. But we'd slip up as close as we thought we could get to them before they could catch us to get back. Each side would do, one side would do it, and then whenever that was caught or got back home, then the other side would do the same thing. We call that dare base.
yeah,
And you kept going until one side or the other had all the people?
I had all the people. That was
Yep.
the end of the game then.
Now,
We had to
if you
start
could outrun them and to the prison where they had him in around the tree and touch him, you had to turn him loose,
Yeah.
bring him back. But if you get caught trying to get him, you have to go in there yourself.
I didn't remember that part. I forgot about it. But I did know that if you caught him, he had to go on your side.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch him, he stayed home. But I forgot about the other and had to go back in.
Didn't Daddy like fishing real well, Uncle Jack?
Yes, sir. He sure
Y'all had
did.
some. What's probably the best fishing trip y'all been on that you can think of right offhand?
Well, I tell you the truth about them, they was all good fishing trips when we catch them. I'll relate to you one of them. When that big storm that came in Florida and just washed off Miami and all that down in there,
28.
Yeah.
that afternoon Brother T.W. and I was on Lake Myona, was setting out a trot line. That wind come up so hard, it taken that boat, pulled the trot line in two, and right down the lake, and we headed it right into the sawgrass, and we left that boat right there and walked back out. We had an old Model T Ford with a touring car with a body tore off. We walked back down to where the landing is now, out there by Pomona. We got in that thing and we took off. Went home. We didn't know what was going on. Then you didn't have no radio to tell you about the storm. You didn't have anything going on. All we knew was the wind was blowing hard. We went out to Long Hamlet to see our girl that night, and coming back over the hill, the wind like blew the cover.
You mean your girlfriends now?
No, friends. He had one, I had one.
Okay, your girlfriends.
Yeah. And we
How old were y'all then?
Oh, let me see. We was in our teens, I guess.
Okay. After you got back from seeing your girlfriends?
Well, we got back home, and that storm come in. We didn't know nothing about what was going on. Didn't have no radio, didn't have no TV, didn't know nothing about it. All we do is whenever somebody come along and said, "Did you hear about what happened down there?" LaBelle was washed completely off of the map. Miami,
1928? 9?
26, 27, something like
Yeah.
that. And it just washed it plumb off the map down there. And down in Miami, and then the Everglades, they didn't have funerals. They take the bulldozer and opened up a ditch, pushed them all in and covered them up.
They had to put them in a mass grave. There's too many of them died at one time.
Did you ever get your driver's license?
Yes, I got driver's license way back right after they first started having driver's license.
What happened? They expired?
No, I lost them. When we went out to Texas when Jimmy was a baby, I didn't have a purse with a handle on it. It was just a clutch bag. And I thought I had it when we got off of the bus. And I didn't. I left it on the bus. And I lost my driver's license and all the money I had to live on till I got another check and everything I had in there. And I never did try to get no more because I didn't have no car to drive. I wasn't thinking about the consequences. That what all I'd have to go through to get them again if I waited, till they expired.
How old were you the first time you ever drove a car?
I don't know. I must have been about 19 or 20 when I first tried to drive.
What'd you think about it?
I was scared. I was scared I wouldn't even get out on the road. I just drove on our little private road out to the end of it and turned around and went back.
How old were you when you got your license?
I believe I got my license, I must have been about 27 or 28 years old. No, I was a little older than that. Wait a minute. Can you remember, Brother Jack, when they started buying license?
I wasn't here.
About 2 years after they started buying them. Your dad got his, but I didn't get mine for about 2 years later, and I don't remember what year it was.
You didn't have to pay for a license, did you? You didn't have
And about when did they start making you have driver's license? What year you think?
I can't remember. I just don't remember. That's
When do
right.
you think, Uncle Jack? You go ahead.
Well, I was in the state of Washington in the Army when I got my first driver's license. And
Well, what year
But
was
you
that?
drove before that, honey.
How old were you the first time you ever drove a car?
I suppose I was about 14, 15, something like that.
What about Dad? Do you remember the first time he
About
drove?
the same time. And I don't know whether he drove one then or not. The fact about it is, Moses, is that thing on?
Yes.
Moses and Oses, they had a car and Moses could make payments, so they thought they'd burn it and get the insurance. So they got down there between where we lived.
It was going to burn?
They burned the thing, and then they got out and sowed sand all over to try to make out like it's extra damp. And it didn't hurt the motor, didn't hurt anything about it, just burned out the seats inside. And it was a touring car, top went over fast and burnt the top out. So they had it down there in Oxford, Martin's garage. The insurance company was going to bid it off. I went down there and put up a $10 bid on it and got it. And then we got that thing started going home, and we going out towards Longhammer, 2 miles out, and then it was a dirt road going down to where we lived. You know where the old place is out there. Well, I turned that corner, and I had on an old sweater with a ragged sleeve on it. I made that corner all right, but when I started to straighten back up, that old ragged sleeve caught the gas lever, you know, on the side of the steering wheel, and pulled that thing down. And I went out, I went out over that man's fence, up into the field, back around, and come back and run over his fence again, and got on out and hit the road. Never did choke down, just bouncing all around. And I got out and I went on, just kept going and got home. And when I got home, all I did is put down my feet on all three clutches, you know. I stopped. Had to go fix the van's fence, but that's the way we got the first car we ever owned.
Let's go back to you and Dad when y'all got married. What did your wedding ceremony consist of? How did it go? Did you have a best man there or anything? Or?
No, the judge married us at the courthouse.
Just went to the courthouse and got married. And how long were you and Dad married before he died?
47 years. And in 6 months, I believe.
Your anniversary was in August, wasn't it?
Our anniversary was in August, and he died the next January.
August what?
22nd.
August 22nd.
Some of my children was born on the 27th, and I like to say the 27th, but just mixed up in the dates. It was the 22nd
Yeah.
of August.
Now, who's the first one of the Varnum boys to die? Either one of y'all, Uncle Jack. Who's the first Varnum of your brothers and sisters?
Is it on?
Yes.
Let me see. Brother,
Uncle
I believe Brother R.O.
Yeah.
He got an accident down there at, where he was,
Winter Haven?
Winter Haven.
Did Moses go before he did him?
No. Moses died.
Was
Well-
Moses next, wasn't he?
Moses was next. And me and Moses was, Moses was going to church with us down there below Orlando. What is the name of that little place down there?
Ocoee?
No,
No.
Winter Park, Winter Garden?
no. No, it's right in the edge of Orlando.
Going towards Kissimmee.
Where Sister Alice is. I
Yeah.
can't remember her
Alice.
name.
Ocoee.
Oh, no, it's not Ocoee. That's where Brother.
We were going to church down there, and Moses, he told me, he says, I'll take you to church. He told me, he said, we're going to have to take one of these days, we're going fishing that day. And on Thursday night. Friday we went fishing. He said, we're going to have to take us some extra clothes along. I said, for what? He said, well, he said, I'm going to get you to baptize me in Jesus' name. And I said, we don't need no clothes for that. I said, we can just leave everything out of our pocket in there, go down there and get baptized. I'd baptize you and come on up, get back and go on fishing. I said, it don't matter about whether you're, we'll dry off fishing. No, he says, we get it. I said, now look, I want to tell you one thing. Good intentions ain't enough.
Where was that?
Now, Cassia, ain't it? No. Anyway, we went, that was on Friday. Saturday morning, I was just outside in the lake fishing. And
We lived in Orlando.
we lived down there just on the Orange Blossom Trail. And Aunt Helen called me and said Moses, something wrong with Moses. So I jumped out, just landed my boat, got in, went over there, and Moses had a stroke. And he died that night, Saturday night, and was baptized.
And then after that, the next one was,
Next that died,
must have been Aunt
Was-
Tora, huh?
No.
Dora.
Dora.
She got in a car accident.
Dora
too.
went before Dora did.
Yeah, I believe Aunt Tora did die before Aunt Dora.
Yeah, maybe so.
Aunt Tora had a stroke, and she stayed
Well-
that way for quite a while until she finally died.
Yeah, she died on, we was having our family reunion. They
And
called
then the
up and let
next
us
one-
know that she died.
So then the next one after Aunt Tora, and Aunt Dora, the next one was that Dad?
Yeah.
So what year? He died in
82, wasn't it?
1982.
Who's
His
that?
Dad. Yeah,
This
he
past
lived to see-
January,
he
this
lived to
past
see the new
January,
year.
2 years.
83.
83.
He lived to see the
2
new
years
year.
before this past January.
What was it, January? We're on
He
the
was married, he
12th,
was buried,
13th.
he was buried on the 17th. January 17th.
Well, he must have died about the 12th.
yeah. I've got the date somewhere. Yeah.
He come home, I believe, on the 6th or 7th, but he lived nearly a week after he come home.
So right now there's Uncle Jack, Uncle Elsie, Uncle A.D.,
And Aunt Rachel.
and Aunt Rachel.
4 of us.
4. And there was 10 children that lived.
9.
9 that lived.
Right.
I mean, past early childhood or infants.
All raised 9. There was 6 boys, and each one of us had 3 sisters apiece. I've enjoyed being out here with you this afternoon.
Let me give you a big old hug. Thanks for coming.
Oh, I've enjoyed it, son, every bit of it. I just hate that I couldn't remember like I wanted to.
When I was little, did you ever think of me as being going to be a preacher?
Never thought of you as being a preacher, but I knew that you was an exceptional child from all the others. You learned to do things faster.
Like what?
Like talk. You was talking. You was making sentences, 3 or 4 words at a time. For instance, I want water, and I want a sandwich, or I want something to eat. But by the time you was a year old, the others didn't do it till they was nearly 2 years old.
What was my personality like when I was young growing up?
You may not want to know that.
I just told him.
I remember myself as being very shy, was I?
Well, you were very shy. And I remember I'd taken you, I don't know whether you were shy to that or what was the reason, but I'd taken you to the school. In the gymnasium, they had, Santa Claus was there, and they give away gifts. And of course, the ones that was going to school was going to get a gift, and I went with them. But you were just a child, and I was taking you. And they showed a movie of old Woody Woodpecker that night. And you just buried your head up my shoulder, and you wouldn't look at it at all. And after a while, the machine broke down. They had to fix it before they could finish. And you kept listening. You didn't hear it, and you looked up at me and you said, "Mama, is that old bird gone?"
Well, okay.
Another time we was driving down the street, and your daddy parked on the side of the street and went in the drugstore to get some guitar strings, I believe. And you was just a child there, just about a year old, maybe a little over a year old. And the women, the people that was going up and down on the streets were just, looked like they were just flying, they was going so fast. And you just sat there and you watch them just like it was something amazing. Directly you looked up at me and you said, "Mama, them women aren't ought to be driving like that, they're going to get hurt." And you was just a little over a year old when you made that much. That's the statement.
Yeah. Well, okay, I've enjoyed talking to y'all, and I hope we got some memories here that'll last us a long time.
I do too. I just, probably tonight when I go to bed, I remember a lot of things I wished I'd have said that I couldn't remember.
Well, we'll just save a little bit of tape on here on the end. One of these days we might do a little more to this tape.
Okay.